Hello, and welcome to our digital civilization review of the book, The Count of Monte Cristo. My name is Rhett Farron, and this is our introduction.
Absolutely. For our digital civilization class, we had to do a project, how we compare a book to a topic of discussion that we learned about in class. And so we decided to talk about the Count of Monte Cristo because it has a lot of great comparisons to the Romantic era. And it's just a really interesting project that we were able to do together.
Yeah. I'm Andrew DeWitt, and all of us are I'm a physics student, but all of us are students at Brigham Young University. And again, the Count of Monte Cristo, this is a project for a class. And there are a lot of romantic themes, we'll be talking about that later. But just a quick overview of the book. The book by Alexandre Dumas, the author, he creates a story about one man, Edmond Dantes, who comes into the scene about to marry the woman of his that he loves very much, about to become captain of a ship, and then some people betray him. He's put into prison, and then he miraculously escapes from prison after learning a lot of things from his cellmate, and he escapes into the world, becomes a new person, the Count of Monte Cristo, and then it's his stories of both repaying those who've done good to him and also seeking revenge of those who have done him wrong.
Great. For me, it was a little bit of a struggle to even find the book. In our class, Digital Civilizations, we're encouraged to find digital material to read. But for this assignment, we were encouraged to go to a library and find an actual hard copy of the book. So I went to our school's library and searched for the Count of Monte Cristo, which they had on the computer. So I went to where it said the physical book was located, and it wasn't there. I couldn't find it. The only book I could find was a French version of the Count of Monte Cristo. So I went back, I put a hold on it, and I went back to my computer and searched Count of Monte Cristo. I was able to find a digital copy through the Project Gutenberg initiative founded by Google, where they try and take every book in the public domain and digitalize it to put it on the computer. So that's how I started to read the Count of Monte Cristo.
For sure. As I was reading the Count of Monte Cristo, it was kind of interesting because I'm not really a big reader and never really enjoyed reading. But as I was thinking about how this connects to the romantic ideas, one of the big ideals of romanticism is this sense of feeling and emotion. And it was fun to be able to draw these connections throughout this book of how this Edmond Dantes, he starts off as this sailor, and he's uneducated, he's in love with this woman, and he has this simple, he's driven by this sense of feeling and the desire to be a better person. But as he progresses and he gets thrown into jail and he meets this Abba Faria, this philosopher, this very intellectual man, he learns, he becomes educated, and when he eventually escapes from prison and becomes the Count of Monte Cristo, this sense of feeling and emotion kind of died within him. He was more driven with his desire to revenge and avenge, the people that put him in prison. And he was driven by more intellect. And it was just interesting time, all this stuff has come together.
Along with romanticism, it's interesting how much the Count of Monte Cristo, the book, really tries to draw out emotions in the reader. Because the very first few chapters, you read about this young innocent man and how great he is. And yet, even though he's innocent, all these horrible things happen to him. And that's one of the things of romanticism, is that it wants to draw out strong feelings in you. And so immediately you start feeling sympathetic toward Edmond Dantes and saying, how could somebody do something so horrible? And that's very romantic, that idea of bringing out strong emotions. For me, would walk into classes after reading a chapter and lament to my classmates how horrible it was, the things that were happening, and this was just in the first few chapters.
Good. Building up these two ideas, another common romantic theme is the idea of isolationism. It's interesting. Before he goes to jail, he's not educated, but very emotional. He's very emotionally attached to those around him and has a happy and enjoyable life. He gets put in jail, however, and is removed from society. He's isolated from society, and he builds his intellectual power. He eventually escapes from jail, and now he's placed back into society, but not at the same place that he was at the beginning of the story. Instead of being emotionally and intellectually placed back into society, he's only physically placed there. Because of his intellectual training, he is intellectually removed from society, and he's consumed by planning his revenge.
Yeah, and this is just a kind of a random fact that just came to my mind when you were talking about that, Brett, was how, because he's in society, but no longer kind of in his realm of this supernatural feeling. In the book, it mentions a lot about how he would use drugs and stuff.